Good evening to Zambia. Good morning. Good afternoon to all the other places. I'm not so sure what time your timeline is, but a welcome to our program and welcome to Maria, who is commonly known as a Zed Farmer. But for today, we're going to call her Maria because I think that's her name. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you could share the link, invite people who would be interested to listen in, and would equally be so appreciative if you sent in your stars. We'll be grateful for that, and thank you already if you already sent them, because I know some people already send them quite early on. So thank you so much for joining me. How are you, Maria?
I'm well, very, very well. Tired, but I'm okay.
I can see you're still in the uniform.
Yes, I'm still in my uniform. I'm in my Zambia National Farmers Union uniform. We had a council meeting today that went on for the whole morning, but it was a very fruitful one with all the districts coming together in Zambia. It was at Mulungushi. It was very good.
Okay. Would you say then that there's been a change in trajectory with the farming in the recent months, probably after the change of administration?
Definitely. What we've seen is, some great cooperation and harmonization between the Zambia National Farmers Union, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Commerce and Trade, and the Ministry of Livestock. So all four of us work together, and in the past we would recommend things and things would not get actioned. We're basically just talking to closed doors. Whereas now, in the New Dawn government, we have the actual president himself is really behind us. We have had so much support from him, and also the Minister of Agriculture is, he actions things. He actually paid us a visit about a few weeks ago, and had a private meeting with us, which he has actioned already. So they're doing a great job. We are so overwhelmed and thankful. I don't know how I can thank these people enough, because finally there's law and order to to everything that we're doing.
Oh, that's really great. I'll take us a little back. It's a little bit personal, and ask why farming. What was it about farming that drew you to the career?
I think firstly, my personality goes a lot with farming. I look at myself and I see that I don't like to be in an office. I don't like to be in a closed environment. I'm a naturalist. I love nature so much. So I think if I wasn't a farmer, maybe I'd be a game ranger or just living in the national park somewhere. But that's what it is. Also, I think that was my God-given purpose. Why I say that is because when I first started farming, I was basically just thrown on the farm because of being jobless. My mom said to me, "Why don't you try farming?" And when I went there was a garden, and I saw what other people didn't see, which is the profitability of farming at the time. And most of the people that were farming were men, not women. So I wanted to change that trajectory of farming being a man's business. So I saw a future. I saw a financial independent future. And hey, for 4 years later, I'm not complaining. Trust me.
That's really good. Another question that's often asked, I think, is what did you study? Because I think there's a bit of a variation between what you studied and what you're doing today.
Yeah, I have a degree in nursing. I've got a postgrad in cardiology. I also have a diploma in business. So I think, I'm very health, but you know what? I think I've forgotten my health things. But guess what? I use the nursing background that I have, even in the farming, because it's the same science that is used on human beings to plants. So the same science that is used on plants, I understand that plants need to be fed separately, each single day. So, when we look at a plant, we look at the lifespan, it's a little bit similar to the medicine. So I just tie in with what I studied with now.
Okay. That's absolutely great. So what would you tell somebody who, especially now in Zambia, where there are lots of youth who tell you there are no jobs going, but there's a lot of land, very free land. And my dad keeps saying something. He always says, there's land where you come from. Your chief has your land. So what would you be telling as many youths as possible out of what you have done?
Yeah, President Kaunda used to say, go back to the land. He had a point. You can't be too young to farm. In fact, farming is for young people. I could not, if I look at my mom and I put her in the farm, she can't even finish working half of the farm because she's older. So when people say that they farm, they're going to farm when they retire, not at a commercial scale. So farming is for the youth, it's for the young people. And then also you need to start on a small scale. I started on a very small scale and then grew. But also, one thing I'm appealing to the youth is that farming is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of discipline. But as long as you've got two things, you've got the land and you have water. Water is very key in farming venture. If you're going to farm all year round, obviously you need to sink boreholes. You need to get water out of streams. But if you're going to farm during the rain season, definitely you can do cash crops. A lot of people have done soybeans this year and they're going to have bumper harvests. And the soybean price is quite good.
Yeah.
So, if there's a young person out there who's graduated or who's finished school, or can't finish school because, their parents don't have money to take them to school, maize or soybeans is the way to go. You get some soybeans, you plant, you wait for the rain, you harvest your soybeans, and then it's clean money. You're not stealing from anyone, or you're not crooking anyone. It's clean money, but it requires a lot of hard work.
Definitely. I think that's the part maybe where we are behind. We always like things like, chop chop express, and the harder work isn't a preferred route for as many young people today, unfortunately, I would say.
Yes, that's right. Like, a lot of young people want quick money and they don't want to get dirty. They don't want to stand in the sun the way the Zed Farmer stands in the sun. I think they want, chop chop everything. And the girls, on the other hand, I've seen a lot of youths being slay queens where, you want long nails, you want this, but you don't know how to work hard for them. So, what I'm saying is that there's no such a thing as quick money. If you want money that's sustainable, that will last generations, remember that this wealth that we build is not for today. This wealth is for my great grandkids. That's the wealth that I look at. When you look at that wealth, it takes years to build. I'm not even quarter way of building my wealth.
Okay. Added on to that, I would say, at what cost has this career been at? Has there been a cost that you say, this is something that has cost me this part of my life?
Yeah. So it's cost me, I look a bit older now because of the sun. So it's cost me my looks a little bit. It's also cost me my marriages. Hey, I've been divorced twice. And when you farm it, you don't have time for rubbish. So when someone is giving you rubbish, you just say, hey, guy, listen, it's not working. I'm out of here. And it's cost me 2 marriages. It's cost me my social life. It's cost me friends. I literally don't have friends in Lusaka. I can count my friends on one hand, and I hardly see them because this is a lifestyle that we lead. It's not so much a job. It's not like going to work Monday to Friday. No, because Saturday, Sunday, when my friends at kitchen parties enjoying themselves, or they're at Chicago's or Grand Dandy's having a drink, I'm in my farm to ensure that everything is correct, because, we have an order on Monday. Tomato needs to go to Namibia, or it needs to go to the market. Mondays are usually a very busy day for us. So Sunday is usually a day for preparation, or Saturday. So yeah, it's cost me a lot. I hardly see my mom. I hardly see my family, but I try and incorporate my kids into the farming so that I can spend time with them.
Absolutely. No, that's really understandable, I think. I think you have been, I always look at life, the Zambian culture, as a bit heavy on a woman, because it's like the entire burden of a marriage is put on your shoulders, and the guy is just the ride along. It's just kind of thing. And when a marriage comes to an end, the blame feels very heavy on the ladies, because these are terminologies you hear. There are all these. That's why Bemba. Bemba is very unfair because it puts things into context quite bluntly. And I think you have received quite a lot of backlash about your marriages, especially on social media. How have you dealt with that?
Well, one thing is that I understand my purpose. And another thing is that I have a lot of self-worth. I know exactly what went wrong in my marriages. Nobody else knows that. And when I look at the backlash that I get, most people have not graduated from the culture, because you see, when you analyze our African culture, most of the blame when a marriage fails goes on the woman. And in this case, for example, for me, it's, oh, she's got too much money, or, oh, she's a farmer, she thinks she's better than everybody else. And, but I am a living testimony of surviving GBV. I have survived GBV not once, twice. And if I didn't make that decision to leave, I'll probably be dead. Either he would have killed me, or I would have died from depression. And guess what? Some of my family members tried to keep me in the marriage, even when I was threatened. Even when my life was threatened. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that the culture, and these are older family members who just said, no, stay there, blah blah. And so it's having a lot of self-worth. When you know who you are and you know your purpose on earth, you're not gonna let anyone, not even culture, mess with it. So I went against culture. And I said, you know what? I will meet the right person at the right time. And I need a person who would support me, not a person who would just compete with me. Because you see, there's two types of partners. There's one who will support you and take the back burner, and then there's another one who will compete with you. And I found a lot of competition. Now, if someone wants to farm, they are not a farmer. They've met you, they become a farmer, and all of a sudden they want to compete with you. The marriage can't work. And and I just went, I just said, guys, I don't want this. I want to be happy. And I just left, and it was all over. And by the time it was going on social media, trust me, I had left a long time ago. It's just that I think somebody pulled it at court or something like that. When people have, when celebrities or people have things at court, journalists go and they publish it. But at that stage, I had left a long time ago. So no, I'm a lot happier. Trust me. Even my business, because it affects your business. You're not happy at home, you can't thrive in a toxic environment. That's how it works. Yeah. You've got a toxic environment at home. You cannot thrive in your career. You cannot thrive in your business. Your business won't grow because the person who is sleeping next to you, it does not wish you well. Energies matter. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I get you. I get you. Probably following on to that question, you're saying that you've gone through GBV in the past 2 marriages. Would you say that you had either not learned from the first one, or is it that this is the type of person that you're attracted to and you still fell into the same mode you had fallen into with the first guy?
Yeah, I think that I attracted abusive men. And I attracted abusive men because I thought I was not good enough. And that's what a lot of women go through. I am not good enough. And when you think that you're not good enough, what happens is that you end up attracting somebody who is low value. And this is what I spoke about on the Zed podcast. I said, it's not the people's fault. It's my fault because I didn't put up my standard high enough to accept, to say, okay, I need somebody who is my level, somebody who understands, someone who is open-minded, someone who's not going to follow culture, someone who won't want to, you bring them water to wash their hands because they can't stand up and go to the tap because that's the culture. Those are some of the things that I used to go through. And it's my fault. I attracted these men and I accepted. You see, it's one thing to go through GBV once. When a man raises his hand at you once, it's time to say no. And I did say no. And I allowed it to happen and over and over again. And the person will come back and say sorry. And then it happens again and again and again. And it becomes a habit now. And to a certain extent, it also made me abusive. Because you see, in everything, you have to take responsibility for your part. I'm the type of human being who takes responsibility for my part. So my part was that I also became abusive. And abuse is not only hitting somebody. Abuse is insulting. Abuse is being narcissistic. Do you know that there are female narcissists? I
absolutely, yeah.
I was narcissistic because I wanted my way all the time. And when I got divorced, then I looked at myself and said, hang on, I need to fix me. So I stayed for 1 year just working on me. And trust me, I got many offers of low value men because I was still low value. After I finished working on me, and I'm still working on me because, hey, I'm a work in progress. I think I've met somebody who is absolutely amazing in my life and is supporting me, full force.
Oh, that's absolutely great news to hear.
Yeah.
What would you be telling a young person who probably is in an abusive relationship and they're being told by their relatives to stay in that relationship? Because I think that's what happens. You hear all this advice where people will tell you, no, you've got to stay in, it happens, and all sorts of things. So what advice would you be giving?
Mwelwa, most people stay in abusive marriages because of poverty. because they don't have a plan. If you're in an abusive marriage and you're there because you're depending on the man. Oh, and abuse goes both ways, hey? Even men, I'm sure men watching this live should also, if they're in an abusive marriage where you're depending on a woman, because there are some men who earn lower than the woman and the woman becomes abusive. And, a lot of people feel that women in high places, like women like the Zed Farmer, women like whoever, people say, oh, she can't maintain a marriage because she's got money. No, that's not what it is. What it is that you stay in that marriage because there's poverty, and then at the end of the day you die. And we've got many cases of people who've died because they've gotten into one of those abusive fights, and then the husband has shot them or the wife has shot them, and then they've lost their lives. So what happens? Just recently we had that lady from Kitwe who shot their husband, the Jirabo Chile one or whatever his name was, and then the children lose on both ends. So the children lose their mother, she's in jail, and the father is 6 foot down. So who ends up suffering? When two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers, which is the children.
Yeah.
So my advice to a young person who is going through an abusive marriage is put yourself first and get out of the marriage, regardless of what anybody says. Remember that there's only one you. There is only one you. And regardless what anybody says, you need to have an exit plan. And the exit plan might not be today. I had an exit plan. I started planning my exit 6 months before I even left. I started putting away money. I moved out of the bedroom. Like, I just made things clear that, guy, I'm leaving. And he tried to talk to me, and I just said, no, it can't work. And I told him that we'll live in the same house, but we'll live separately. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Don't want to. And even on the day that I left, I got abused. So I got spat at, So what I'm saying is that have an exit plan if you're going to try and help the person who is abusive. Because you see, I personally believe that being abusive is a sickness. If you can take someone, because it goes together with mental health, if you can take someone for therapy and have counseling, and the person is willing to change, so be it.
Yeah.
I think it can work. But the minute you have, and most abusers are very narcissistic, especially the men. You find an abusive man is never wrong. That is narcissistic behavior. And when someone is like that, when someone is narcissistic, where they don't do anything wrong, I remember being slapped one day and told, no, I just brushed you. What do you mean you just brushed me, dude? You slapped me. So they don't even realize that they're being abusive. So someone like that can't go for therapy, because for you to get to the place where you need therapy means that you have accepted that you've got a problem. So when someone doesn't accept that they've got a problem, then they'll never change. I think it's time to leave, regardless what your family members say. Some of my family members even stopped talking to me. And I just said, this is what it is, and I'm doing this, finished. And trust me, it's the best decision I ever made.
Okay. I think you've touched on mental health, and the follow-up question will probably be on that. How have you suffered as a result on the mental health front, and how have you managed it? Because I know in a lot of African circles, everybody says you're black. You can't, you're never depressed. I've heard somebody say you're black. Why would you want to go for therapy? And all sorts of funny connotations about therapy and mental health, especially amongst us Africans. And I think in the last couple of months, we're seeing a change, maybe. People are a little bit more aware about mental health, though I don't think they know the nitty-gritty. I think we're just, riding on, and sometimes people say things. But I think I would be asking, how have you managed it, and how have you chosen? What route have you chosen?
So I started suffering from depression. Let me go back a little bit. I started suffering from depression when I lost my child, and I used to have outbursts, really bad outbursts. I could sit down and shout at someone, like tear them down. And I was put on an antidepressant, and I was taking those antidepressants. Actually, I've been off my antidepressants now for 4 months. I'm doing really well. Like I'm not suffering from depression anymore, because you see, the person you're with now I'm talking about relationships. The person, before I go back to how the person you're with can actually help you or break you if you have a mental health issue. Like, I was suffering from depression. Now, the person I was with, instead of them being supportive at the fact that I'm suffering from depression, what they did was that they made it worse by taking pictures of my tablets, by threatening me, telling me how they're going to put it on social media that I'm mad. And I've seen many, many articles of people saying I've got bipolar, I'm not okay. Now, one thing with people who are great, and this goes for everybody, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, this guy from Apple, what's his name? Steve Jobs. All these people have shrinks. You need to talk to someone, especially if you're under pressure. You could be under pressure from your job. You could be under pressure in your household. Mental health is real. It's there. The reason why us Zambians are not up to scratch with mental health is because we are still living in the Stone Age. We are still living like we haven't been exposed. And I'm happy that these things are coming out, because there are a lot of youths who have committed suicide in the last, because they've had no one to talk to, because their parents just go and say, anyway, if you guys is over, we've got really bad attitude towards mental health. So I'm advising people out there, whoever is listening to this TV show, the Zed Farmer has been on antidepressants for close to 5 years. I lost my child in 2017. From 2017 until just this year in January, I was taking antidepressants every single day. And, I had to see a therapist. So there is nothing wrong with going to seek help. And there are many places to seek help. There's there's a place called Silver Lining Medical Center. It's in Northmead. They have very good, there's Dr. Ravi there. He has really good mental health. There's a counseling center in Roma where I used to go. There's Dr. Wala. She's excellent at what she does. Dr. Siwa was my counselor. She was my psychiatrist and everything. But Dr. Siwa has moved, but she still has sessions online. She still has sessions online. So what I'm saying is that mental health is real. Do something about it. If you feel low, get help, because this thing can just eat you up and cause you to do something detrimental to you and also impact your family.
And I think you've touched on the stigma element, where people will call you that you are mad. And I found that very oftentimes you're looking at people and you're thinking, that the connotation of mad is very heavy on a person who's already not fine, because it's either you choose to switch off or you choose to agree with what they're saying, and sometimes you're falling into a pit because you've agreed with what they're saying. Would you say that the Zambian population are considerate or non-considerate?
I feel they are non-considerate. Why? Because I've experienced it. Some of my family members have gone around telling people that I'm not okay. So when I get into an argument with someone, they'll go, oh, there she goes, she's mad. You see? And, even when it's a genuine argument, you're having a genuine debate with someone, and they'll say, no, she's mad, so don't pay attention to her. And I've had many people run away from me, not want to talk to me from my family, because they think I'm mad, because I take antidepressants. And you know what that is? That is not being exposed. It's called umumbwa, villageness. You understand what I mean? It's called umumbwa. You want to behave like you're from the village. Only villagers behave like that. They don't understand. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a villager. And please understand what I'm saying behind saying umumbwa. Umumbwa is not being exposed. We have to live and learn every single day as we go along. So you have some people running away from you saying that there's a certain lady who writes about me saying that I've got bipolar. She's never taken me to the hospital. I've never been diagnosed with bipolar. I was diagnosed with depression, not bipolar. If I was bipolar, I couldn't farm the way I'm farming. The reason why I farm like that is because I'm okay. So people can still live with mental illnesses. Like, people can still function at 100% with a mental health issue and still be okay. Some people need therapy. There are different degrees of mental health. Some just need therapy, others need medication. I got to a point where I needed medication. But then I became the laughing stock. Oh, The Zed Farmer has bipolar. Oh, she did this, she did that. And you find those people don't even go anywhere in life, you know? They would call you mad today, tomorrow you're doing something great. So
Yeah.
my advice to anybody going under therapy or counseling or tablets, if somebody calls you mad, just close your ears and continue getting that therapy for you to be okay.
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I'll go back to your farming part, and you predominantly farm, I think if memory serves me, it's tomatoes.
Yes.
And I think you still dab in other things, but it's predominantly tomatoes. What is it about the
Yeah.
tomatoes that you love? Because I know they're high intensive, they're a little high on the labor aspect, and they're quite demanding as well. But you've thrived for such a long time, you just on the tomatoes. So what is it about tomatoes that you have the knack for?
You know, the first thing I see as a farmer is that every farmer has a specialty, be it livestock or crops. And when you pick your specialty, I believe in mastering and focusing on that specific specialty. It's like medicine. Others are
Yeah.
gynecologists, others are cardiologists. They focus and master in that. So for me to become a good tomato farmer, I had to focus on that. The other thing why I like tomato is because I'm the type of person who likes a challenge. The rest of the crops, I get bored. Like I'm growing okra at the moment. Oh, I'm so bored. Like on one, I don't even go there because the challenge is not big enough for me. Whereas tomato, you go in today, it's looking different. It's got early blight. Tomorrow there's tutor. There's fertilizer applications. The fertilizer applications are very complex to do. You know, there's a lot of grams measuring. There's a lot of science involved, like phosphates and
Yeah.
sulfates and nitrates. So there's a lot of stuff. The other good part I love about tomato is that you don't harvest once. You could carry on and on and on and on and on and on and on harvesting for,
Yeah.
for ages. The other thing I cater to is the low density areas of Lusaka, of my community. I look at Lusaka and I look at the whole of Zambia. And when I see what Lusaka and Zambia have, can you have a meal without tomato in Zambia? No.
No. It's such a staple.
Yes, it's basically the staple food of Zambia. And because it's a staple food, I will never ever run out of clients. Whereas if you grow something exotic, like, for example, broccoli or cauliflower or things that are not really a necessity, you find that you don't sell as much as the way you do. So my product is always in demand. And because it's always in demand, I ensure that has become my core crop. I grow tomato almost every 4 weeks. And then I have other side crops like cabbage, maize, and okra and onion. I try and rotate the because we have to rotate the soils on farm one. So because we have to rotate the soils on farm one, we have to grow other crops. I've got no choice. But on farm three, which is basically still virgin land, there is just exclusive tomato. There's no other crop on that farm.
Okay. No, sorry, I lost you there a bit, but I think it's a network issue. Absolutely understanding on the tomato element. The other element probably that people always ask about is the market element, because I know in Zambia we have this habit where because you're doing tomatoes, I will start doing tomatoes. And unfortunately, I think I know there's a specialty element you've talked about, but at the same time, I always think that we sort of kill our friend's business because we've equally now put, so if I never remember tomato, I also start tomato tomorrow. And in so doing, I always think that we kind of reduce or destroy my neighbors, or actually divide my neighbor's business. So what are your thoughts about that?
Look, Mwelwa, the market is wide, but I think what it is producing quality. Because the reason why my tomato sells over anybody else's tomato, when we go to Soweto, our tomato is finished by 9 o'clock. That's a promise. 9, 10 o'clock, the marketeers will be full on the truck and they'll finish the tomato. Why? Because I pay attention to detail when we're farming. I pay attention to the fertilizer programs, the spray programs. Everything must be on point to produce that quality that you want for the market. Also, when you have quality, the customers are in excess. I mean, I have clients coming from Namibia. I've got clients out of my ears. I'm sure you've seen sometimes on social media I post. Hi guys, is there
Yeah.
anyone who has tomato today? I'm short. Because you find there's 2, 3 trucks packed on the farm, they all want tomato, and I just can't make the numbers on that particular day. So I think in terms of market, people want to copy what I do, but they don't have what it takes. It's one thing to want something. It's another thing to have what it takes and
To
actually
have it. Yeah.
execute. Yes, to execute, to make sure that you deliver that quality. Once you deliver that quality, then trust me, the market is never ever small. Even when you go to Soweto market, if you have quality on your truck, you'll be the first to finish over everybody else because you've got quality. So the market is
Uh,
very wide for tomato. It's wide. Sometimes we don't even sell here. We park our truck, we go to Ndola. The price is bad in Lusaka, no problem. We park the truck, we're off to Ndola. And Ndola as well, we've got agents there. And also it's about networking. With market, you have to network. We are part of the Soweto cartel. There's a cartel going on there, the middlemen. We just join the cartel. It's easier that way rather than fighting and
yeah.
complaining. Join the cartel, sell your tomato, and then off you go.
Okay. I would equally ask you about the farmer's lunch that comes on the 25th of June. If you could tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so we decided to have a farmer's lunch as Tuzini. Reason being is that a lot of people were calling for internship, and I personally don't have time to teach for a month. I have to teach someone what a gate valve is, what a drip line is, what a pump is, it's a lot of things to learn. So we decided to have a farmer's lunch. We closed it off for 50 people, but I've had overwhelming response. I've had to open up again another 15 slots to make it 65 people. There's actually 3 people flying in from Nigeria, some coming in from Botswana and Lesotho. I didn't realize the reach that we had. But this farmer's lunch is basically starting at 10 o'clock. It'll be done at 6 p.m. And from 10 to 13 hours, we will have just the theory part of it, of growing crops during the winter and into summer. So it's talking about summer as well. We're going to tie in a little bit of a livestock aspect. I'd like to talk about goats. Goats on a Saudi Arabia level, because we have seen not many people are going into goats, and we have just a few goats that I've started with on the other farm. And we want to take this goat thing to another level. So we're going to do tomato, cabbage, and onion. Those are our 3 major crops that we're focusing on, and also goat production. And then finally, we'll have lunch. The lunch will be catered for. So it's lunch actually made by myself. All the food that I like to eat, and I will be the one cooking. Obviously, I'll get chefs to help me, but it's all my ingredients, all the stuff that I eat in my house. Like on a Sunday, sometimes I post what I've made for my family. Those are the things that we'll be eating that day. And then in the afternoon, it'll be practical work. So we'll get the farmers to go inside the fields to learn how to plant, to learn how to spray, to learn how to, how to castrate a goat, stuff like that. But we'll be having a meeting on the 12th of June, a Zoom meeting, because we'd like to hear from the participants who have paid and who have registered for this event, what they would like to learn. So I'm currently sold out. I'm sold out. Actually, I think we're up to 70, but maybe we'll open up another 5 slots, because we've gotten, my PA tells me she's gotten 15 different phone calls today begging for a slot. So I think maybe 5 more slots, 75, and then we close it.
Okay. No, thanks so much for that. I'm sure you're going to get more people pleading now for more slots. For more slots, which will now, I think, clog you up. I hope you don't get to 100 by the end of the month.
I know.
Okay. And I think on a lighter note, I was a little amused. I'm trying to remember this, but you had mentioned at one point, I think you had this spread on a weekend, and you had cooked, and you said that as a woman, you're supposed to switch off your careerism at the door, and once you get into the house, you are a wife. Now I had a bit of a laugh when you say that, because I thought about it, like, how do you switch off? So I'm going to ask you, how do you switch off that part of, because for me, I think for me, worse off, I had a company in my home, so I never switched off. That switching off never ever happens. So you need to give me a few tips. How do you switch off the career at the door?
So when I'm actually wearing a chitenge. If I stood up for you, I'm wearing a chitenge under this shirt, because when I get home, I just put on a chitenge, and I'm just Maria. And I tell my kids that, look, this is not the Zed Farmer you're looking at. This is mommy. So if you need anything, so we have dinner with my kids. I try and make our lifestyle very simple, extremely simple with the way we live. I don't like my kids to, how can I put it, to think, oh, my daughter sometimes goes around saying, my mom is the Zed Farmer, she can afford that. And I tell her, no, 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 no. Mommy sometimes doesn't have money pouring out of her ears. We're just simple people. Because if you teach your kids how to be simple, what happens is that even when times are hard, they will adapt to it. I don't like to spoil my kids. And at the same time, when I get home, I leave my shoes at the door. If my significant other has come to visit me, I'm not going to mention his name, otherwise everybody will be after him. So, if he comes home to see me, I will take off that Zed Farmer hat and just be the girl or the woman that he wants me to be. No, oh, I made this amount of money. What I will serve him, I would take, go to the microwave, go and cook food from scratch. And, he always refuses to eat out. He's like, nah, I don't want to eat out. I just want your cooking. So you just have to be tough as a woman. Be tough. Time for business is time for business. You're a boss. But when you get home, you're just a mom and you're a wife. That's all. And I've just realized one thing, Mwelwa, before I go. When you're a woman in Zambia, and especially in the business that I am in, it's very hard to thrive alone. It's hard to thrive alone. Because why? Because the workers, the everyone, your suppliers, everyone take men more seriously. And this is the truth.
I think it's in a lot of careers that is the case, where I've had cases where you hire somebody and you ask them to do something and they begin working, and then when my husband comes in, they change and they begin going to my husband to ask for, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm thinking, I told you what to do. Why are you going to the
So you can't thrive as a woman being on your own. Because of the culture. That's all it is. It's the culture. We are not in Hollywood. We live in Zambia. So in Zambia, if you are married, number one, you're respected. Secondly, you are, your business will thrive more because you've got a husband who can take care of things. I mean, if my significant other comes here and he talks to my maid and tells my maid, oh, I want tea, she'll run and go and make tea. Me, if I tell her, she'll just say, madam Baja, it's okay. You see? Exactly. So you need to work. I just feel that if you're a single woman and you want to make it big, find someone who you can build with, not someone who's going to eat your money and who has no brains. That's why I said the last time I commented and said, most men come to us for survival, but I need a man who's got brains. It doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. What matters are his brains and what he brings to the table. If he has brains, then at some stage he's going to support you and provide for you, if he's got brains. But if he doesn't have brains, there are two types of men. There are the men who are providers who've got brains, and then there are the men who just come to eat your money. So me, I've got the one who is the provider and who's got brains. When he comes, he puts his brains. You also need another set of eyes on your business. You can't be the only set of eyes. You need someone else who can come into your business and say, hey, guy, you know what? You're not doing this correct. Let's fix this. Let's fix that. Let's fix that. And when you have someone like that who's a man, even when he goes on the farm, he'll be able to have a sit down with the manager and say, no, let's fix this. They'll listen to him. Me, if I go there and say, let's fix that, just say, madam, that's how the culture is. So, maybe you might hear that the Zed Farmer is getting married for the third time. It's okay, Dina Elizabeth Taylor.
That's a nice one. If you can't beat them, just join them.
Like, seriously.
I'm sure, because the other day I thought about it, I was like, she's going to be Zambian J-Lo at some point. Everyone's going to be saying this is Zambian.
Of course. I don't even mind. If I feel like I've met the right person, it makes me happy. If he asks me to marry him, I will gladly say yes. Because so far, yes, I'm good.
No, I'm so happy for you. If you found somebody that you're really happy with, they say third time's a charm. So let's hope the third time is indeed a charm. And thank you so much for humoring me. And agreeing to this
Thank you.
interview. It's been a lovely interview, learned a lot, and I'm sure so many people have also picked up, especially on the aspect that this is, I know I want this careers to change, and we're no longer saying traditionally for men or traditionally for women, jobs are just jobs.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
the quicker we get to that point, the better for a lot of us.
Yes, that's so right. That is so right. No, thank you so much for having me. I think my closing remarks are, number one, you are what you think you are. So if you think you're going to be great and you work towards it, you will be great. That's how it goes. And that's how I built the Zed Farmer brand. I imagine me impacting many lives. Today, I impact 260,000 lives on social media. On my farm, I impact about 101 families. And those, I don't even know some of them. But at the end of the day, it's God who has brought me this far. So, with everything, we're very prayerful. Do you know that we pray all the time? Prayer is like chocolate to us. We are praying all the time and we seek God. Yes. And God is the one who has brought us this far. So even in the new Dawn administration, I know that things are tough. The economy is hard, especially with the Ukraine war, and fuel is up, cost of living is up. Remember that we don't belong to earthly economics. We belong to kingdom economics, where you're provided for every single day. So it doesn't matter. As long as you can survive this year, next year will be good. I really have a nice feeling for next year.
Thank you so much. And I totally agree. I have that feeling as well, where you're like, next year, for the first time, everybody, I never do that thing of next year, but I have that little inkling like, okay, next year, I think next year is going to be a whole lot better than we, because we're just in recovery. I feel like this is a whole recovery kind of year.
It is.
So thank you so much.
These people took looted a lot. We all know the story. They
Absolutely,
looted a lot. Yeah. So, for us to recover from that, it takes time. So, no, thank you very much. And thank you to everybody watching. And we will open up 5 more spots for that farmer's lunch.
Thank you so much, too. To our viewers, thank you so much for watching and listening in. And it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much to those that shared, those that commented, those that sent in their stars. Thank you so much, and have a good night.